This is the story about the time a militia group bombed the headquarters of Gulf Oil, committing the most shocking terrorist attack in Pittsburgh at that time. On a summer day in 1974, an improvised explosive device was smuggled onto the 29th floor of the Gulf building in downtown Pittsburgh. When evening fell and the building became vacant, the bomb was detonated. No one was injured and no one was killed, but the entire 29th floor, which held the corporation's executive offices, was reduced to rubble. Almost immediately, an anti-imperialist Marxist group began contacting the news media with instructions on where to find written manifestos which had been scattered throughout the adjacent payphones. Within minutes, journalists uncovered notes reading the following. Weather Underground bombs Gulf Oil. We have attacked the Gulf Corporation at its executive headquarters for their enormous crimes. Gulf finances the Portuguese colonial war against the people of Angola. Gulf steals profits from poor and working people. Gulf exploits the people and resources of 70 countries around the world. Gulf is our common enemy. You see, ever since the 1930s, Gulf Oil has been conducting business in Angola, and in 1968, the company first began drilling for oil on Angolan soil. Since Portugal had colonized the African country at that time, Gulf paid Portugal handsomely for the rights to the lands, but failed to consult with or provide for Angolans whose land and labor were being exploited. In other words, Angola provided cheap costs, but with the profits being shipped overseas to Pittsburgh and Portugal. When the Weather Underground bombed Gulf Oil, this exploitation was one of their top complaints, but they had several others as well. But by the time they had even detonated the bomb in the Gulf building, the group was already on the FBI terrorist list for having thrown Molotov cocktails into the homes of Supreme Court justices, police stations, and school libraries, before officially declaring war on the United States in 1969. Then, in 1970 alone, the Weather Underground detonated bombs in the New York City police headquarters, an army base in San Francisco, and several banks and courthouses, before breaking a notorious LSD legalization advocate out of a California state prison. In the coming years, the group would continue to bomb major buildings like the U.S. Capitol, the Pentagon, and several other federal and state offices around the country. Not long after the bombing in Pittsburgh, many of the group's founders were arrested, and those who remained with the group began to abandon the militia. The 29th floor of the Gulf Oil building was eventually replaced, and Big Oil continued to operate in Angola, with little further public discussion of the company's ethics in that region. And to this day, the company in its present form still operates in Angola, where 7 out of 10 Angolans still live on around $3 a day. The newspapers pointed out in the days following the bombing, the radical group raised some really important points, but the drama and terror of their bombings only pushed people to turn a blind eye to the greed of Big Oil.